Kanna, 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 Kanna.
Hey, this is Shantha here, and thanks for being with me on Wednesdays with Shantha so far, and thanks for showing all the love and affection. As we move forward, let us continue and unfold further more chapters of this book. Hi everyone. I'm in one of the biggest chapters on Karanas symbols and iconographs. So this chapter is so huge because it's focusing on 108 Karanas. So I don't think I can do justice without talking to Ram and ask him what made him to cover all of these in his book. Hi everyone, this is Shantha here again. So let's talk more about Karanas. So please, Ram, welcome here.
Thank you so much. Looks like you have got some notes to grill.
Yeah, seems to be a very lengthy and detailed chapter where you've covered 108 Karanas, and I don't know how you could do this, Ram. So I thought let me discuss with you and understand more on this. So could you please tell me what?
Sure. This is a great journey, right? So, right from the way I started thinking about the book, first thing that catches your attention is when I visited temples and took some photographs. Karanas, 108.
Wow.
And then there is a big book by Padma Subramaniam on this. And then, if you look at the length and breadth of India, 5 different temples carry the same Karanas, but they've got different poses frozen for each of the Karanas differently, whether it's Sarangapani or you go into the Vrindachalam or you go to the Chidambaram or you go to the main Brigadishwara temple. So, over to you.
And we've spoken about Natya Shastra and Karanas, right? What exactly? How do you relate both of these?
So, interestingly, in chapter 4 of Natya Shastra, close to 108 shlokas have been narrated by Bharatamuni, and it has been translated brilliantly in this book which I read, which was by Manmohan Ghosh. That's itself about 1956-57. Each of these have been represented and the postures for it, how the posture starts, how the whole piece ends. Though the photographs just only represent one still, that is not a Karana itself. So that's the flow of it.
Wow, excellent. And it shows how deeply rooted in spirituality about this book, right? And I've also heard Padma Subramaniam talking about it.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on what
Okay.
was her?
So she had written a great book, and it's actually in 3 volumes. What she has done is she traveled from India and she actually went up to Sumatra, Bali, and found some equivalents in those temples as well.
Wow. Okay.
What she has done is she has taken a notation, she has given her own spin on what she believes that particular Karana exudes, and the fact that it is found in the temples and not in some other monuments, it just has that divinity part combined to it.
Right.
So that's how she has basically been able to capture these, and she has done some great work in this space.
Wow, excellent. And you touched upon temple sculptures, right? How do they play role in this context?
So if you look at the way the temple structures have been done, so you will find that gods and goddesses have been assumed or visualized through these Karanas. So their exposure is what makes this Karana a bit more spiritual. And then there is a god element to it. So anything which is in the name of a Devalaya passes muster a bit more for an acceptance to the public. So that's one of the mainstays of the chapter.
Wow. And in my earlier question, you spoke about 5 temples related to Karanas. Could you just explain those?
Oh yes. So the first one is the one by the great Rajaraja Temple. That would be the Brigadishwara Temple in Thanjavur, and that has only 81 of the 108 Karanas, and that's in the inner sanctorum.
Okay.
And normally you need some special privileges to get inside. I was lucky to know a couple of people from the ASI, so that could do. Second one is the Sarangapani temple, which I think is in Kumbakonam, built in the 12th century. Now think about it. 10th century Thanjavur, 12th century Kumbakonam, Karanas constant. And it's pretty much there with all the 108, and this on the eastern Gopura of the Sarangapani temple. The next one is a Nataraja temple at Chidambaram. Needless to say, that should be the place where it should be found. But the way they have been done, it's like no more than 10 inches by 10 inches, and then literally there are rows of that on the eastern Gopura and the western Gopura. And that as you actually enter the temple. The next one is the Arunachaleshwara at Tiruvannamalai. That goes back to 16th century. Think about 10th century, 12th century, 16th century, nothing lost in translation. Sculptor families would have moved, and in fact this would be a great way to understand that mobility of labor was pretty much pronounced and very deep skill sets. The last one was the Vriddhachalam temple. That was built late 17th century. To think all the 108 are present in 3 out of the 5 temples. And then there is also one in Satara, which is in Maharashtra, which is not mentioned here. I had a chance to visit that. And then Padma Subramaniam talks about one more in Bali and Sumatra, where she found some like these.
Wow, great. I hope this tradition of sculptures continues in the next generations as well. And what is your analysis and interpretation you would add to this area of work?
So for this whole chapter, what we have done is for each Karana, I've written what the Karana is explained by way of the Adavu or the particular hasta mudras that they are talking about. And then I've given homage to Padma Subramaniam on what her interpretation of that particular part is. Then I've written the cultural significance and the way the whole particular thing ties back to the tradition and culture for the Indian part of it.
Excellent. and what I've noticed, readers, is this is one of the biggest chapters. Do you want to cover how big is this chapter, Ram? Because
Not
I haven't
much.
completed.
Only 216 pages out of the 600-page book.
Wow.
And then I had the privilege of shooting 3 dancers in the US. And then there is one younger kid from Canada. Her name is Ashwini. She has posed for all the 108 Karanas.
Wow.
I could use 57 of her photographs, and she features very prominently in the book along with the other 3 dancers as well.
Excellent.
So that's the extent of the book.
As I said, I'm yet to finish the chapter. Readers, please do read this chapter to know more about Karanas, and this is one of the biggest chapters as we discussed in the conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.